everyone, it's Theresa here of Larkin Design, and welcome to my December 2011 album. This is a mini album that I am going back. I'm sort of doing a TBT here, and going back and completing an album that I took photos for and documented in that current year and then never got to finish. So this is video number 5 in this series. You can look back. There's a playlist for December 2011, and if you want to catch up and see how this has come to be and hear a little bit more of the backstory to this album. So today I have 2 layouts that I want to share with you, and the first one is about our boys. This is a photo where they were playing. At the time I lived in a little tiny apartment, and both boys had quite a collection of lightsabers at the time, and they were all about having Jedi fights. And it was really warm that day, even though it's the middle of December. It was really warm that day, and they decided that they should have an outdoor Jedi fight. And so that's what they were doing. And capturing these moments of them playing is one of my goals in my December albums and throughout all of the scrapbook layouts and albums that I create, is to capture relationships. I talk about this a lot in my classes. I talk about this a lot in my pocket memory keeping class. And I talk about this also in my upcoming class called Christmas Morning Photos. Capturing these relationships is something that's really important to me. Our relationships to ourselves, our relationships to each other, and our relationships to things. And these lightsabers are one of the things that brought these boys together and helped them bond in these early days. At the time of these photos, we were not living together yet. We were not fully blended. We were dating. We'd been dating for about 4 months by this time. But the boys already had this bond, and we all really had this bond already. So it was important to me to include this moment in this album as a significant one in terms of our relationships together as a family. So I'm working with some really fun product today. These are mostly products from Felicity Jane, last year's December kit. And so I picked it up in the summer while it was on sale, and have just really enjoyed working with these products. I'm loving the black and white. That's something that I really wanted to focus on in this album, was to do black and white and then pops of color. And you'll notice too, once I begin working on my album for 2017, I'm going to repeat some of these elements as well and some of these techniques. I'm loving the combination between pocket pages and full-size layouts that are out of the page protector. I'm stepping out of these page protectors a little bit. This is kind of a throwback to where December Daily and the concept of December Daily, where that started from, what the starting point was. I guess in 2007 or whenever it was that Allie did the first one, it was totally a handmade album, just using things in her stash. And that's where December Daily has grown from. And I love the concept of going back to that, making my own album again, and using products that are in my stash and mixing it with the newer concept. I say newer, although pocket pages are not new, right? But now we have the capability of blending the pocket pages with traditional layouts all together in one album, and it just creates a nice, fun visual effect. Still gives you some of that see-through element that pocket pages allow, right? So you can see through to the next page. I love that. So what I'm working with on this pocket page side is the back of the layout that I had done about Natalie. And so I had a traditional, 4x6 pocket, and I printed the photo a little bit smaller here so that I could do a background of a fun pattern paper and then layer some embellishments on top of it. So I just have this little cluster of labels and flair and that little tiny deer. And I also left the marketing strip at the bottom of that red and white stripe, just because it has a happy little message. Hello Christmas. Just a happy little thing across the bottom. At the top, I had the back of what was on the other side. So I had a little white square to work with, and that's just going to float in that pocket. And then on the other pocket, I had the little Maggie Holmes doily vellum, and I just layered a tag with some of those transparent pieces on top, right? And it's just this idea of heart and home. And, we were at my apartment and just hanging out together, having one of many, many play dates together. And, that is my heart, right? And so then on the full-size sheet, on the full-size layout, I'm just doing some journaling here about what is going on in the photo and just sort of capturing just a few sentences. Nothing big, right? You could write up a whole, if you're a prolific writer and you like writing paragraphs upon paragraphs, you could do that on this page as well. But I'm using one of the 3x4 journaling cards in the December kit, in the Felicity Jane kit, and then the little house. And that again is a transparent piece. And just layering it. It's layered on another piece of vellum. And I'm just playing around here with clusters and tucking things over and under and not really worrying about it too much. Just what looks fun. And, of course, I'm using just this combination of colors here. There's turquoise, there's red, there's green, and it all comes together, right? Because all the colors are repeated across the page. And then you'll notice here this little tiny banner at the top. That just looked fun to me. Yeah. So I'm just figuring out if this is ready to go. Yeah, I think it is, or not. Okay, so I had found these little these little hole reinforcers at a grocery store here called Lidl. And so I'm going to use some of those on some of these full-size layouts. Yeah. And then trim up some of these strings. I did sew a little more zigzag here with this red thread. And I think that's something that I want to try to continue throughout the album. So moving on to the next page, and this will be the back of the layout with the boys. And so for this layout, I'm working with photos from a pajama skate night that we had from one of the kids' schools. And so I'm working here with, I've pulled out a couple of different products here to try to work with it. Some of them I'm not really sure where they come from because they're so old, to be honest with you. But I know that the polka dot is My Mind's Eye on the left-hand side, and the green journaling card is an Allie Edwards card or it might be one of the One Little Bird cards from 2015. And you can see I sewed a sequin pocket at the top, and I'm alternating back again, right? One side is full page, one side is pocket page. And so I just sewed that, repeating the thread, repeating the sewn embellishments here. And when I sewed it across the top, I added a couple of little embellishments at the top of the pocket, 'cause I wanted them to stay put. So the stars float around, the little embellishments are designed to stay put. I also ran a couple of threads around that starburst on the green card, just for a little bit of contrast there. So this was a skate night, and once a year they did pajama skate nights or whatever, so the kids could wear their pajamas, and which of course was tremendously popular with our kids. And so what I wanted to capture here is that throughout this period of time, there were, as Alan and I were, growing our relationship, getting to know each other really, really deeply, and there were several points of awareness for me personally, and I'm sure for Alan as well. There were several points of distinct awareness that he was it, that this is the one. And this layout represents one of those moments. And so I'll explain to you. As we were skating around this roller rink, right? And I had not been in skates for like 30 years. Okay. So I'm wobbly, and I don't think that Natalie had ever been in skates. So she's kind of wobbly, and, Alan is just hanging out with us, and I turned around and captured them together in that large photo on the left-hand side. And that photo for me, and that moment, was one of those moments where I just knew that this is what I wanted, and that this was right. And it just fit. And, again, trying to capture these relationships and capturing really significant moments in our relationship together as a blended family. It was just too important to leave out. And so at the end of the layout, I'll journal about this a little bit and write about how that photo really represents one of those really defining moments for me. And of course, the photo here on the right is of Emberlyn and Natalie, and they as well were already forming these deep bonds, that they're almost better than quote unquote real sisters, right? Sometimes as real sisters, we hurt each other, but these two have the benefit of being friends first and then being able to be sisters. So I'm just layering a couple of pieces here again. I have a pattern paper background. I have a vellum. That vellum is from crepe paper, the Valentine's Day collection a couple of years ago. And that little roller skate is also from crepe paper from several years ago. I've been holding on to it specifically for this layout. Like, don't you just love that when you've been holding on to something for years and years and years, and you finally make that layout and you finally use it? That is so satisfying to me. So good things here in this layout. And, I did a little title tag here. That tag is from Jelly Bean Soup, and the little red label is also from Jelly Bean Soup. Again, those collections are like 3 or 4 years old at least. And so then once I have everything in place, I'm just going to write a few sentences. I did put just a few little wood stars around those polka dots, and they are so fun. I love them, and love the little repetition of wood, the repetition of the red seams here. Just a lot of good stuff. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I'm going to wrap this up. I hope that you will like and comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.